My name is Noah, and I'm 15. This story is based on true events encountered by my brother, who is currently 12, and me. This happened when I was 13. Me and my brother used to have a wardrobe filled with random costumes, from Spider-Man to Indiana Jones, etc. We would always dress up and roleplay in our backyard, which was basically a big square if you looked at it from above, and had a metal fence all around it. Anyways, on this particular day, I was dressed as Indy and my brother was dressed as Woody from Toy Story. We were role-playing as if I was captured and Woody needed to save me, or something like that. Doesn't really matter though. This was in autumn when the days started getting shorter and it turned dark really quickly. We were just about to jump from the window, surviving a massive explosion of dynamite behind us, when I heard a whistle coming from somewhere around us. We both heard it and started looking around. Keep in mind that it was dark at the moment. After we looked around, seeing nothing, we heard another whistle. "Over here," said the man that was leaning against the fence, staring at us with his eyes being red as if they were filled with blood. Now, at this point, me and my brother were both scared shitless when we saw him. He was a middle-aged man, wearing a brown leather jacket, dirty jeans, and some really old white shoes. His hair was long and greasy. My brother was really scared and held onto my arm, shaking in fear. I looked at the man and yelled, "Get off our fence, mister. I'll call my dad." He looked at me with an angry and frightening expression. What happened next was the thing that scared me for life. The man jumped over the fence and started walking towards us. My brother started crying and I screamed for help. I was also crying as the man picked up the pace and I led my brother with me to the other corner of the backyard. We both screamed as he got closer and closer until I heard my dad scream from the porch, "Get the fuck away from my kids." My father was 52 at the time and I've never seen him run so fast. He started beating the man and didn't stop until he was knocked out cold. He then got up and ran over to us as my mom, grandparents, and my aunt and uncle ran outside in shock as they saw the man laying in the grass. Our mom ran over to us and cried along with us, relieved that we weren't hurt. My uncle and grandpa held the man down as he tried to get up and run away, while my aunt called the police. After about 5 minutes, we heard the sirens. 3 policemen came up into the garden. 2 of them picked up and led the man into the car, while the other policeman came over to us and said that we'll have to come down to the police station to make a statement. We went to the police station, made the statement, and went back home. Our parents, my brother and I, slept in one bed all together because we were all in shock. The next day, a detective came to our door and we found out that the man was a serious sex offender. I am so grateful that my brother and I weren't harmed, but I still don't know what would have happened if my family wasn't home. I don't even think I want to know. This is quite a mystery. Still to this day, I do not know what exactly happened. This took place about 15 years ago. I still remember every detail as if I was still living in the moment. At the time, I was the second oldest of 5 with a wonderful dog named Princess Leia. My sister being 12 and I being 10. My parents left to go meet up with friends. My other brothers and sisters were gone staying at different places. My sister and I were the only ones in the house. We lived in a small, safe town. At least when we were younger, we believed that. My sister's name was Brooke. We always had a lot of fun when it was just the 2 of us. We were in dance classes and enjoyed them so much we'd practice or come up with new dance moves while blaring music throughout the house. We must have been doing this for an hour when our dog started to bark at our back door. We couldn't see Leia, and we couldn't see the back door. My sister started feeling creeped out, trying to get our dog to stop. I finally paused the music. We both yelled at Leia to stop and to come to us, and we moved so we could see her. She was still locked at the back door, barking so viciously. We've never heard her bark that way before. My sister convinced me to go get her. As I turned the corner, I froze. I looked at Brooke, still in her eyesight, and started to cry. The back door was open. She screamed, "Oh my God!" She grabbed her phone that was sitting next to the computer. I tried to get Leia and headed to the bathroom. She wouldn't stop barking. I couldn't get her to budge, so we left her. We ran in the bathroom into this tiny half bath. We locked the door, crying at each other, thinking, what were we going to do? I told her we should climb onto the sink, where if someone would shoot through the door, they wouldn't hit us. Our mother watches a lot of crime TV, so we climbed onto the counter and she called my mom. She had to have called at least 3 times with no answer. She finally stopped and called our grandmother, who lives in the next town over. We told her someone was in the house and that she needed to come get us right away if we couldn't get a hold of our mother. My grandma's response, which I still can't believe she said to this day, was, "This is ridiculous. You guys are fine. Call your mom," and then hangs up on us. We were terrified. We had no one that could save us. Then my dog Leia stops. She comes to the bathroom door and starts whimpering. I wanted to open the door to make sure she was okay and let her in, but my sister didn't let me, which was probably for the best. I then, as Leia was in front of the door, could see a shadow go around her from under the door and slowly walk up the stairs, which shared the wall to the bathroom. We heard someone walk up about 5 steps, one creak in the floorboard at a time. We got super quiet and tried calling our mom again. Leia then stopped whimpering. The creaks were gone and there was silence. I then told Brooke that we have to get out of there. She was terrified that there might have been more than one person and that we should just wait. I picked up a hairdryer and I gave her a metal bar that hangs towels in the bathroom. I looked at her and said that we had to at least try. She swung open the bathroom door and I came out waving the hairdryer. I realized I didn't see anyone, and I turned around to see if anyone was on the stairs, but there was no one. She stayed in the bathroom until I turned the corner to see that the back door that was initially left open was now closed. I got scared again. We knew we heard someone go upstairs. Brooke somehow convinced me to go up the stairs and check. I took Leia with me. She waited by the front door for my cue to run out. We didn't know where they were. They could have went back outside for all we knew. I wanted to go check outside for myself, but I was just too scared. Brooke sat by the door, one hand on the lock, and I called for Leia to follow me. There's a flat part at the top, and then when you turn around, there's a few more stairs until you get to the 2nd floor. When we got to the top part, Leia ran ahead of me. She ran straight to my brother's room, which was right on the right side, just a few feet from me. She started barking again, clearly knowing that something was in that room. My stomach dropped, and at that moment, I was full of dread and fear. I yelled for Leia, once again crying. I got her to stop, and we ran down the stairs together, while yelling, "Brooke, open that door now!" As soon as she saw me coming down, she swung open the door and ran out the front door. As we were running, we saw my mother's car. We followed it back to the house. We didn't use the garage, but they parked in front of it. Once we were finally caught up, we were crying and tried to tell them what had happened. Our dad reassured it was just all in our head, but we refused to go inside until we checked it out. He said he would check it out altogether. We walked in the back that we knew had already been closed again. We walked through the kitchen, through the dining room, into the living room where the front door was and seen the front door also shut. We looked at each other, puzzled, knowing neither of us shut the door behind us. We told them, "When you pulled in, the door was open. Didn't you see?" They shook it off, saying they didn't pay any attention. I told my dad to look in my brother's room, just in case they weren't gone. He said he searched the whole room later, but finding nothing. But Brooke and I knew that someone was in our home. I don't know what would have happened if I went to the kitchen to shut the door, or if I had opened the bathroom door to let Leia in like I wanted, or if I even went to my brother's room to see who Leia had cornered and couldn't stop barking at. That I will never know. Some days I wish I would have, just to see who it was, or what it was. Other days, I'm thankful I never did. We don't know what could have happened to us. I know we were lucky to make it out that night. This is a 100% true story of a disturbing cleanup that I had to take care of as a car detailer. I worked as a car detailer at a dealership for a few years. The boss had a small truck towed in one day and asked myself and another detailer to see if we could clean it out. We had taken care of some bad smelling and filthy vehicles before, so we figured this was the same kind of deal. But we would later find out that we would be wrong. Before opening the truck, we smelled it. Nasty, rotten, thick air surrounded the truck. I asked my coworker if he ever smelled anything like it. He shook his head. I walked over and opened the door. The smell of something dead rushed out. It was overwhelmingly sickening. I went and talked to the boss about the unbearable smell. He was trying to get some money out of it. The guy who bought it died not very long after purchasing the truck, so as possible, he wanted to get it back to selling condition. He said he wanted the seats gutted because he bought all new seating. I still informed him cleaning it was nearly impossible. The smell was making everyone sick. I pretty much said I needed some type of breathing apparatus for myself and anyone brave enough to help me in order to try to clean the vehicle out. So he bought us some paintballing suits and full face masks. It did help a bit. If we didn't have those items, it would have not been possible. The guy I worked with was a veteran detailer. He had many years of cleaning up and detail cleaning vehicles. He told me he had never had a case like that truck. We began to take the car apart and bag the old seats in plastic bags. We shampooed the carpets and washed out the engine. We scrubbed and conditioned the vinyl of the dash and interior. It was looking a lot better. We attached the new seats and looked for anything else we could clean up to get the lingering smell out. My coworker sat in the driver's seat and complimented buying the little truck, but we both forgot a major place to clean up. We reached down and turned on the AC full blast. A bunch of burnt little brown and black things flew out at him. All over his face and chest, these things hit him. The smell was there again. We tried everything we could, but whatever happened in that truck wasn't able to be washed off. We got close, but when it would sit in the sun for any amount of time, the smell would be back. We later found out what happened. Apparently, a guy died in that truck. They didn't find him for a while, but by the time they found him, he was swollen and split and was covered in maggots and flies. I guess since the weather was hot, it sped up the process of decomposition. Those things that flew out of the AC were burnt and cooked maggots. An officer came by and filled us in. My coworker vomited after hearing this. The smell of death is so strong. It's very hard to get rid of, if you even can at all. No matter how hard we clean, I'm sure there would be some kind of residue somewhere. But maybe the truck was never to be sold again. Maybe it's just a smell that is not possible to remove. but it was a horrible experience. But I'm sure the officer had it much, much worse.